We've got the coach here, so we'll let Coach Fuente kick it off, and then we'll have Coach Cornelson and Coach Hamilton to follow. So, whenever you're ready, Coach.
Sure. First, I just want to offer my condolences to the family of Coach Hartman. I didn't know Coach Hartman well. I got to talk to him a couple times. It's pretty obvious he was a beloved figure here at Virginia Tech, and would just like to pay my respects to him and his family. Thanks to our fans that joined us at Louisville. They certainly made their presence known. If I'm not mistaken, it might be the biggest crowd we've played in front of, and it was great to have families and Hokies in the stands. I'm sure, as you all know, we're not practicing today. We practiced last night, so the kids are off today, and we'll be back kind of on our normal schedule on Wednesday. So we'll need to have a great week of preparation this week. Liberty is ranked in the top 25, deservedly so. Offensively, they're averaging 40 points a game. They beat the brakes off one ACC team already. Malik Willis is phenomenal, running it, throwing it. They've got running backs that are big and powerful. They've got some that are small and fast. They've got wideouts. I mean, they are putting tons of points on the board. They're incredibly explosive, and doing a really good job in the other two phases of the game. It's just, to me, when I watch him play, Malik Willis stands out. I mean, this young man is he's a fantastic football player. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. We got a ranked opponent here at home, and we'll have to have a great week of preparation heading into Liberty.
Maybe two, you want to start?
Justin, you played Ole Miss in 2014 and 15. I believe that's right. Is what you see on tape from Liberty similar to what you saw from Coach Freeze's team back when you were at Memphis?
No, I think they've changed with their personnel. The thing that I remember the most about them, the last when we played Ole Miss, was they had a big-time receiver. Yeah, and more of a pocket quarterback. I mean, to me, Liberty has more weapons. I mean, they have multiple running backs with game-breaking speed. They have multiple wide receivers they're using, and Malik Willis. I mean, this kid leads the country in scramble yardage. We had him in camp when he was in high school. I mean, he could play about 4 positions on either side of the ball. I mean, this kid is super talented. So I think they have molded or moved schematically, as you would expect, with their personnel.
When you had Willis in camp, was he there as a quarterback prospect? What did you see him as back then?
He could have done anything. I mean, he was lightly recruited at the time. He went on to have a great senior year. I don't know, I can't remember exactly if they played for the state championship or went to the semifinals or the quarterfinals, whatever it was. They had a really good year, and he went off. And it became apparent really quickly that he could play quarterback. So, I mean, at the time it was like, this is a really good kid, a good working kid with incredible talent. Like, we'll work it out. If he wants to play quarterback, we'll let him play quarterback. But as he went through his senior year, it became apparent that he could play quarterback, and that's what he needed to play. And, obviously he signed with Auburn and transferred, and, I believe he sat out last year. I'm not positive on the exact timeline, but, man, is he playing really well. Happy for him.
Andy?
Yeah, Justin, going into the year, you sort of planned to play 2 quarterbacks. That hasn't really been the case the last couple games. I'm curious, now that you've actually gotten into the season, did you reevaluate that decision? Is it just harder to pull off than you think, or is it just sort of in game circumstances?
No, it's just there have been a lot of things happen that most people don't know about. Quite honestly, Braxton's been dealing with things, and I mean it's just the way this season is. So we just take it week by week and keep going. But I liked with what information we had at the time, which seems like 2 years ago, but when we were starting the season or thought we were going to start the season, and we announced that. I think we announced first Hennon was going to play, and that, or excuse me, Hennon was going to start, and that Brax was going to play, and so on and so forth. The lineage of all those, I mean, those are basically the best decisions we had at the time, and that's the way we'll keep doing it. It's just, I mean, you never really feel settled in 2020.
Jamari Connor's, I think, been ACC defensive back of the week twice this year. He was a pretty valuable, versatile guy for you guys last year. What has he done this year to maybe expand his game a little bit?
Well, the first thing is I think Justin Hamilton has got him playing a little more zone coverage, and I think he's, you know, maybe making a bigger impact on the game. That doesn't mean that we're not playing man, but I just think he's got a little more freedom to he's not always locked up in coverage every play, whether he's coming off the edge or whether he's in the run fit or playing in the alley. I just think he's just been a little bit – it's kind of opened up his toolbox. Jay Ham has seen the talent and tried to expand that skill set through the defense. And I'd say the same's with Divine, quite honestly. I think you know, both of those guys have kind of blossomed with what Justin Hamilton's asked those guys to do.
Mike Nisley?
Yeah, keep asking about Jermaine Waller, but I guess he traveled this week and just was a late scratch. Do you anticipate him being another game-time decision, or is he sort of almost ready? I mean, where is he at now kind of going forward?
I would anticipate that he would play this week. I mean, he's practicing. You know what I mean? Like it's up to him. When he feels good and he's ready to go, he's going to go play, Mike. Like there's no reason for me to hide his status. I'm just telling you, he goes out there and practices, and you know, he's looked good. I think, you know, I know he wants to play, so I think I'm take it for what it's worth, but I'm optimistic that that he'll be back out there.
And then with Malik, did you guys kick the tires when he went to the transfer portal? I mean, I know you had a pretty good quarterback room yourselves, but was that a conversation you guys had at all? Because, I mean, you did have all the information on him when he left Auburn.
Yeah, Mike, to be honest with you, I don't really remember, like, what year that was and where we were. I don't, you know, where we were in recruiting and who we were dealing with, and so we didn't really go very. If we did do anything, obviously we didn't go very far down the road with it. So I really can't recall what, you know, the timeline of all of that stuff, and you know, were we dealing with somebody else, or were we full, or where exactly were we at?
Okay. And then you've had a bunch of kind of holding penalties each of the last 2 weeks. How do you go about when you know this kind of crop up in bunches? Is it talking, film study, some specific drill? I mean, what do you do to try to, you know, eliminate those when they kind of sort of, you know, 3 in each game the last 2 weeks on the offensive line?
Yeah, well, I think some of them are a byproduct of what we've been doing. We've been so successful running the outside zone that, you know, it's getting fit up by the defenses differently every week. So the ball's hitting all over the place, basically. It's hitting backside, it's hitting front side. And there have been a couple times in the last 2 weeks where it's been leveraged outside, and we have been on a block with good form, and the ball has bounced. And as the defender's gone to pull away, we've still tried to remain engaged, and we can't do that. So, you know, those are things that, I mean, we set up a drill for it the other day. We've got to continue to coach it. And it's really hard, as you can imagine, because the person doing the blocking has his back to the person with the ball. He does not know where the ball is. He doesn't know if it's cut back behind him or if it's bouncing around him. He has no clue. All he's got is the person that he's looking at, which is the defender. But when he goes to pull away, we've got to be conscious, and we can't continue to engage with him. We've got to turn him loose. And that's been the biggest byproduct, or excuse me, that's been the biggest culprit of what we've done. And it's really just happened the last couple of weeks. So we're doing our best to fix that. We got to make it it happened to Trey. It happened to James Mitchell 2 weeks ago. It's happened once or twice others the last 2 weeks, and we're working to get it fixed.
Thanks. Mike Barber?
Yeah, Justin, we talked to Luke Tenuta yesterday. I was talking to his dad this morning. What's your relationship with John? I guess he was coaching and you were quarterbacking, or what's the overlap there?
Yeah, John, Coach Tenuta was he was either the DB coach or the corners coach or the safeties coach. He worked in the secondary. My first year at Oklahoma, so I was redshirting, and basically I was kind of like his scout team quarterback. So, and I've followed Coach Tenuta's career, through my own career, and had no idea that we'd come cross paths again, but awfully happy that we have, and that Luke decided he wanted to be a Hokie, and it's worked out really well.
John talked a lot about he loves to work with his sons, all three of them, on whatever sports they're pursuing, but also not wanting to cross that line as a coach of he trusts you and Coach Weiss to coach his son. What's that dynamic like for a dad of John's resume?
Well, John is the perfect coach's dad, or player's dad, I should say. John Tenuta is the perfect player's father. He's been down the road. He knows what it's like to be in our shoes, and he's incredibly respectful of that. He's got a son that never shows up on a list, is never late for anything, makes great grades, does everything we ever ask him to do. So it's been a breeze for us, I can tell you that much. I know at the bowl game when we played Cincinnati, because I didn't know, Luke was pretty young, and I didn't know if he was going to get into some mischief as a young player or not, and I grabbed Coach Tenuta and just said, I just want you to know, not only is Luke going to be a really good player, but he has not made a mistake since he's been here. He hasn't been late for a meeting. He hasn't missed anything. He turns his assignments in. Like he's never on a list. He's just been fantastic. And John looked at me and said, "Don't worry about it. He won't." So I didn't worry about it anymore. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Norm?
Justin, I know they're parts of the whole, but with Cunningham last week and Willis this week and King next week, you're going to see 3 of the top 5 scramblers in the country as of right now. Does it kind of help at least to stay in that at least frame of mind in terms of preparation that you're going to have to get ready for running quarterbacks each week, and at least that's an element you can prepare for throughout?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's certainly. They're all different. Some are better throwers, some run to throw, some try and get up the field, so on and so forth. But, it's becoming more and more the norm, almost week to week. Like it's almost flipping like the other way. The guys that don't run around are the exceptions almost. So, certainly being able to see what you could do better or what you didn't do well the week before versus an athletic, capable thrower, aids in that conversation. So hopefully you can continue to improve in handling those situations.
They're pretty stout. Liberty's pretty stout defensively also. It's their top 20 in total defense, the scoring defense. And they've got a couple of nice rushers. Darrell Johnson's really nice off the edge. What do you see from that side of the ball that gives you some concern?
Well, I think they're really efficient. I mean, you can watch the film and know that they understand their scheme, their sound. They don't give up big plays. They do a great job keeping the ball in front of them. And, have been really productive. They are a big, stout front. I mean, I don't see anybody really just moving them off the football, which obviously can create some problems for you. And you better be efficient because the other side of the ball, they're going to score.
Hey, Pete, the sound's gotten really bad all of a sudden. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it's...
Yeah, no, I'll check it. Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
All right, Jermaine?
Well, Coach, first of all, I got to ask you, I mean, obviously, first game you ever coached at Virginia Tech was against Liberty. If you could take me back to just your thoughts and feelings heading into the game and memories heading into that big moment for you.
Oh, I mean, I was curious what I was going to see from our football team. I didn't feel like I knew our football team very well. I mean, obviously, it was a beautiful day. I do remember that, and I tried my best to try and enjoy some of the pomp and circumstance that comes with Virginia Tech home games under a non-pandemic year. So I'll always remember that vividly. Mostly, I remember just being happy to find a way to win the game, and a sigh of relief that was behind us and that we were moving forward.
Travis?
Hey, Coach, yesterday Coach Freeze said you guys had a chance to talk at a Nike clinic here a year or two ago, and I'm just wondering if you could speak to that relationship, and are you surprised at what he's been able to do in a relative short amount of time, less than 2 years at a place like Liberty?
Obviously we've competed against each other. We did visit at a Nike event. I'm not surprised, no. I mean, he's at a place with resources, and he's been proven to be a more than capable football coach through his many, many stops. So I'm not surprised at all.
Wes?
Coach, I know you talked about this before, all the things that go into a successful running game. I know we talk about the O-line. When you look at the film, how do you see the down the field blocking by the receivers and the tight ends in the past couple games?
Well, I think we're doing a really good job. I think the guys are taking pride in it. Caleb Smith is one that stands out. Trey has been pretty good. He got a little holding penalty last week, but he's always been a guy that's been able to play without the ball in his hands and taking pride in it. And I really like our tight ends. I don't make any bones about it. I think they're really capable, good football players, and we use them a ton. So I've been pleased with the group effort to, they want to win. And, whatever it takes to try and find a way to win the ball game, if that's we only throw it 10 times, or if that's blocking downfield or whatever it is, that group seems more than willing to do it.
Thank you. A couple more, Mike Nisley. Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, who are you guys using for the scout team quarterback? Had it changed the last couple weeks with doing with Cunningham and Willis? What have you guys done with that to try to simulate?
We use whoever we have available. Like we're not in a situation where we're picking amongst 6 good candidates. We got whoever can throw a football, or that's kind of where we're at in 2020. So
who has it been this year?
We've rotated. It's been multiple guys. Just like our starting quarterback, it's been multiple people.
Can you name one that's recently done it?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Damian?
Hey, good morning, Justin. About the Liberty defense, number 10, Trayshawn Clark's been one of those guys on the defensive line where he starts on the end, but on third and long can move inside with his size at 6'3", 260. Is he a guy that you want to avoid having him in a pass rush situation on third and longs and be able to
stay ahead of the sticks on first and second down?
Well, I would say that's what we try and avoid all the time, and I say that because that's kind of how we're built. If you look at our games and the games that we've been efficient, certainly this season, it's been by trying to avoid those situations as much as possible by being able to run the football and stay ahead of the chain. So he is a talented player. They have tremendous length up front. And a nice little scheme that they use on third downs to help try and free some of those guys up or get them on an edge. So it would benefit us greatly to be in third down situations where running the football is still a threat. And the better that you run the ball, I think the longer the yards to go can be when you do that. If you can't run the ball very well on 3rd and 5, everybody knows you're throwing it. But if you've got a chance to run the ball on 3rd and 5, then I think you're doing a good job. At least you have the potential to keep people off balance.
Andy, one more?
Yeah, Justin, when you were putting the staff together, the defensive staff, I know you didn't have the off season where they could get together, and then there's obviously been disruptions at the start of the season. How do you think the chemistry of the staff has come together, and has it happened like you hoped it would be at this point?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job. I mean, there's plenty of ideas in there. There's plenty of experience. That's part of, that's part of Justin's job as the coordinator. Is there won't be a lack of good ideas in there. It'll be filtering through what we can execute, what fits together. And I've seen those guys approach it with a no-ego approach. They're all working together to try to put the best product out there on the field during incredibly unique times. And as far as the way they've worked, their ability to communicate with the kids, I couldn't be happier.
Last one, Mike Barber.
And Justin, we're going to talk to Justin Hamilton today for the first time. I'm curious, he didn't have the benefit of spring ball, and we've talked about that. Have you seen kind of a development or evolution in his ideas and coaching kind of just in season because of what he missed in the spring?
I don't know if I would go that far. I think he's been put in an incredibly difficult circumstance, and I think he's done a fantastic job managing it. Between all of the things that you all already know, there's no reason for me to go back through it all. But I go back to I see how he communicates, I see how he teaches, I see how he manages both adults and young people, and I think he's fantastic at it. And everybody always wants to talk about the X's and O's, and there's a portion of that is important, but it's about so much more than that. It's about what can your players do? How can you hide your weaknesses while capitalizing on your strengths? How can you get guys to play better than they actually are? And I'm seeing those things on a daily basis over there.